going to be Schnitzel versus Asura. ZVZ VTLU versus Varun. My name is Passer, and I will be your host for this evening, making sure that everything goes smooth and creamy as we hop into Catalina LE for a first ZVZ. Stick around in 1 second, guys, as we load our players in. So this should be an exciting map. Asura, a player I'm not necessarily familiar with, but I have seen Schnitzel around in a couple of online cups already, and know that he is a very solid player, especially in the ZVZ matchup. Just have to make sure that both players can load in. So a bit of a delay on that front. But it's going to be a very fun game. Hoping that we see a lot of excellent gameplay. Now if you excuse that, here we go, we're hopping into game number 1. Spawning in the middle left position of Catalina. It's hard to do with a 3-player map. It is Schnitzel.
Game paused.
Okay, small delay there. That is my fault. I forgot that this was on the Southeast Asia server, so I forgot to update my server settings. But alright, we're going to get that little thing fixed up there. Sorry about the delay, guys. I completely apologize. We're going to hop right back into it. Countdown has started, and we're going to try again. Second time should be the charm, because quite frankly, if we have to go to a third time, I think you guys will be quite peeved. But let us hop into game number 1, Catalina, bringing the hype, bringing the cheer, because the ZVZ is already here. Boom. Poet status obtained. You know what a status we need to obtain right now? 100% on these loading bars. And here we are, a bit of a different setup this time, but spawning down here in the middle left position of Catalina, it's Asura. And his opponent, he needs no introduction. He has been a tasty treat in Germany for a number of years. It is Schnitzel. So, with the ZVZ, there's obviously a lot of contention over what is the best style to go for with the early game strats. A lot of players will elect to go for an earlier pool, which will give them a much better aggressive advantage, but unfortunately for these guys, neither side has decided to do so, and instead we're going to see a pretty standard 17 pool, 17 hatch, and pretty economic opening by Asura, with a more safe opening from Schnitzel, hoping to really contest any kind of aggression that comes across the map. Schnitzel also will be the first to know where his opponent is, which is pretty important on this map, as there are two choices where your opponent can spawn, and so you really need to get that information up lickety-split so that you can attune to your opponent's build and get the right third base for the occasion. One check around, gonna see if anything is going on, but it is not, so he's going to throw down his own hatch while getting a couple of defensive lings with speed. So it does look like we are going to head on into the first stage of the game. A lot of play. One moment. Sorry, I had something ringing in my ear there for a second. But yeah, overall, this is the first stage where we'll see a lot of Ling aggression, hopefully trying to catch his opponent off guard, snag a few drones here and there, and then make a slow and steady transition into the second stage, which can usually be described as roaches or mutalisks if you're feeling a bit greedy. But Schnitzel going to get the first scout off, making sure that he knows where his opponent is, and Asura, just by will of following his opponent, will know that his opponent has spawned in the top position, but he needs a confirm. He does not have it fully just yet. I believe he may have seen that, but it's hard to tell without seeing the past here. But a small trap is being sprung here. Schnitzel going to pick off a couple of the lings, actually getting all of them. That is a very nice pick off, and this is one of the things Schnitzel likes to do. He likes to be super aggressive in this stage of the game, even going for a +1 carapace upgrades. That means his lings are going to be very tanky. Heading up this ramp, the queens are out of position because they do not have a full surround off with a wall. So one queen will fall, and a second will soon follow. Yeah, he's just going to dive right on top of that and get the heck out of here. An excellent pick off, and the economy is now neutered for Asura. Ling War is going to happen in the middle of the map, as both players do have speed now. Schnitzel pretty much just has to buy time for his reinforcements to come out, as we do have Banelings on the way. That +1 carapace is going to be so important for this, but oh man, he is not good right there. Losing all three of the Banelings morphing in the front. He's going to have to retreat for right now, but this one Baneling is keeping him alive in this engagement, as Schnitzel has to be very careful as where he engaged. But now that that's gone, it's pure Ling v Ling, and the floodgates have opened for Schnitzel to push Asura back. Engagement going pretty well, but Schnitzel will back off for the moment. It is completely even army supply, 17 and 17. A lot of bruiselings here. But now Asura is going to be doing that little back and forth dance we love to see in Ling Wars, as he's going to take his own third base. He feels comfortable enough, but he's got to be very careful. Oh no. Oh, so close there. Almost lost most of his things, but yeah, very good control out of Schnitzel, I might say. He will not throw down his third base just yet, but he's going to protect the drone. And these Banelings just doing a little bit of crowd control, making sure that Schnitzel can't really defend that base. But oh man, huge connection right there. But he still has quite a few units here to defend. So now Asura, back at home, is just going to morph a couple of defensive Banelings and try and get a good engagement out here on the center of the map. Third base is already established for Asura, but he's not able to utilize it just yet, and Schnitzel will have to back off for the moment. One thing to note is these guys have been on pretty even army supply this entire game. We see a small lead here now since Schnitzel has focused completely on an all-in almost, it looks like, as he has not droned for a good while as he moves up the lair tech, but huge engagement, huge loss, for Schnitzel will reset the army supply. So now Asura has a bit of an advantage, and this is kind of the thing you see. Small little trades, small little engagements eventually leads to the fact that you smell blood in the water and you want to keep on him. So this Ling War might last for a little bit longer, but it does look like Schnitzel is starting to transition. He's getting +1 melee upgrades to kind of assist him in the later stages of the game. But actually, since they're melee, he might be staying with Lings for a little bit longer. If that's the case, those +1 Lings will be able to defend against roaches a little bit easier if he can get a good surround. Small run by Asura, gonna try and get across the map, but it is spotted and will get taken out by the brunt of the Ling force. So Asura going for that Roach Warren, he wants to transition. Schnitzel is saying, I don't care, I'm going to transition, but I'm also going to be in your face, really aggressive, try and keep you on your toes, and force more units so that you can't get the economy necessary. Good control. But you can see that +1 is really starting to kick in. It takes now two hits to kill these Lings, and that third base may actually go down here. A lot of units being forced out of Asura. So with that third base going down, the Spire on the way, and 24 more Lings as well. This is looking very bad for Asura. Losing that third base means he will be behind economically if he does decide to drone up quite heavily. And it does look like Schnitzel is just going to be going for the jugular. Asura feeling a little bit of blood in the water. Unfortunately, it's his own blood. They get surrounded here, and those +1 Lings absolutely shredding the roaches. Schnitzel is going to be coming up the ramp. Going to try and close out this game, it looks like. Getting on top of that queen, getting on top of the roaches. Good position, it's going to make it last a little bit longer, but GG is called. Schnitzel going to be bringing his team up 1. A great first game to start out the night. And let us see here. That is not the right one, but you know what? It's the right one now. So Varun taking a quick 1-0 lead over this opponent. Please note this is a best of 5. So first to 3 will take it for tonight. Next match, Mio Micah versus Dimmy. Wasn't given the map order for tonight, so excuse me as I kind of wrest it from the players. So yeah, I mean, looking at the rest of the lineup for tonight for both sides, these guys are completely stacked. This next game, another ZVZ, but one that you want to see because it is Demilove versus Mio Micah. Two heavy hitters in the region. Mio Micah, an exceptional player. He's played in a lot of these cups. He's on the open a lot, but he has really shown his strength in this matchup. And As has Demi. Demi has been a key component in this region for a very long time here, it feels like. He's got a lot of points, played in a lot of OSC events, so he's got a couple points taken care of. And overall, this should be a good one. A little bit of banter in the chat, making sure that things stay pretty lively. As we get things underway here. Next map is going to be Ascension to Ire. I feel like this map has been a cornerstone of the past couple of seasons. I know a lot of people don't like it though. It seems to be the case with a lot of maps. But I think this is one of the ones that you see a lot in tournaments, especially when you see mech players. A lot of players love it for that mech. But the players just readying up here, guys. So thank you for tuning in so far. If you haven't already, we got a lovely Matcherino page right underneath there. You can see the code. The code changes every 10 to 15 minutes, but if you snag it during that 10 to 15 minutes, you could add $1 to this prize pool. Support your favorite players, support your region, and yeah, use the code. It's free. It's completely free. All you got to do is log in with your Twitch name or any other username that they allow, and you know, it's a great way to support the scene without having to actually do any effort whatsoever. So yeah. Can't really see my thumb. Moved it a little bit too far. But we are hopping into game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Mio Micah versus Demi, and let's introduce the players. Spawning in the top position of Ascension to Ire, it is Demi. His opponent, he's the terror of Vietnam. It's Mio Micah. So apparently I can't pronounce it, but two Southeast region players been making great strides recently in their gameplay, and they're very fun to watch, I must say. Mio, especially for this little move right here, a little bit of a faster pool, so he's looking to be a bit cheeky with the early aggression. And we see Demi just playing it safe, gonna get that hatch up, wants to play it economically and get into the mid stages of the game where he has shown amazing control, amazing gameplay and game sense, and it does look like things are starting to shape up here in this game. Pool is now complete. We got the queen coming out, about halfway done. One of the big things I love about ZVZ is that when you're doing these kind of builds with the more standard 17 hatch, 17 pool, a lot of the time you will get your pool out relatively quickly, enough to defend these kind of more early aggressions. You will obviously have to pull drones a bit for a couple of seconds, but overall you should be able to defend most early aggression. If that made sense, I apologize if it didn't. It is 5 a.m. But yep. Gonna take a more roundabout way, try and avoid the overlords. I believe he was spotted by this guy doing his due diligence. Really making sure he gets his name Overlord correct. And the Lings will try and catch a couple as this engagement is going to start. A huge swell from Mio. He really wants to push the issue. +1 melee on the way as well, so he's looking to just absolutely shred his opponent's economy very, very quickly. And that Baneling nest coming down for the defense, it feels like. He has not really spotted this swell of lings just yet, but he will in a couple of seconds. He knows what kind of trouble is in, what is going to be his move of choice. You know what Mio's is. He's going to attack on both fronts. And Demi kind of realizes the position he's in. He's got to make sure that he does not throw away lings, does not throw away banes. And so he's just going to sack this base and let it go down. Hopefully try and get a better position. And the Bane's going to start forcing Mio to be careful about where he throws his units. Was that an Overlord loss? It was. So nice little pick off there. Going to make sure that things are nice and even here. But Demi does not see this just yet. So a great move out of Mio. He's just going to set up the engagement and be ready to go on a double-pronged attack. Maybe go straight for the middle line, go for the jugular of Demi. Instead, he's just going to back off here, it looks like. Interesting. He may have seen a small run by and decided to come back to defend it real quick. But, yeah, the run by comes in, it gets immediately shut down. A couple of spines at home for defense. And it does look like those lings were taken out. Interesting. Looks like Demi has a rock solid defense then for the time being. A bunch of Banes, a bunch of lings. That's all you need to defend in this stage of the game. Great skin, by the way. I know a lot of people are saying a bit bad things about the war chest skins, but I think lings look pretty cool with those little spikes. It really makes you know that they're toxic. Which, just like the StarCraft forums, it's a little bit harder to tell on the StarCraft forums, but with Banes it's a lot easier to tell that they're toxic. But anyway, Roach Warren coming down. So the next stage of the game is completely underway. Lair coming up for both players. The fact that he has not thrown down a Roach Warren of his own, though, kind of suggests that he may be attempting an air transition here. Just a theory at the moment, but we'll have to see what kind of tech he throws down when that is complete. Plus one attack on the way as well. That third base is going up, so Demi feels completely safe, completely confident in his ability to defend against the lings. And he will just kind of sit around, be ready to go with those roaches. Good map control out of Mio. He's making sure that if Demi does decide to move out, that he will be spotted. Getting one of those overlords, though, is a very nice pick off. And yeah, so far, not really that many moves out of either player. Small attack coming in on that third base, but it's not very committed. Just gonna try and go for those banelings. Gets a nice hit off on some of them. Queen not even going to go down as the banelings zone out things. Try and sneak by here, see what tech is up. But won't really see too much out of the ordinary. Just gonna go for a couple of gas drones. And it was not an air transition. The Roach Warren did go down there. He just wanted to make sure that he had that before he started the roaches. And yeah, drone production has completely stopped for both players. For the time being, it looks like. Ah, there it is. Can't really pan into it, but we do have that spire going down. So basically, with the amount of roaches that he's making here, this kind of tells me that he wants to get a couple of Gulas, kind of just harass his opponent, maybe 5 or 6 or so. And just kind of be annoying with him, try and force an overcommitment out of Demi in terms of air defense. and then just hit him where it hurts with a huge swell of roaches as we have a bunch more on the production tab. The Overseer getting out of there alive. He's feeling better than ever. Yeah, so far this has not been scouted by Demi, so he has to be careful not to overcommit. Hydralistan on the way as well, gonna get a little bit of extra DPS from that. And both players just kind of teching up, getting ready for that one big fight that will decide everything. It looks like neither side deciding to be aggressive, but Demi is going to start pushing out on the map here, trying to change that. As Mio does decide to drone up a little bit, try and get that count up. Oh, he canceled the Spire. Okay. Excellent move here. Kind of just a little bit of a mind game. But Ravager's coming in. It's going to be so important, those biles, to make sure that his opponent is zoned out and unable to really engage without a proper concave. Gets a couple already. A few drones going down as well. A few biles hitting on both sides. There's just so many more for Mio. It's hard to really say who's going to win this engagement, but it is a very tight choke point, so if you get one or two good biles, you're going to take out a lot of units. Demi feeling confident, however, to get on top of this army. Neither side has +2 just yet, but this may have been a bit of an overextension here as the defender's advantage comes into play. There is no speed on the roaches, but taking out 11 drones. That actually just makes them even on workers again. Small linger run by, going to be caught here, so nothing going there. Survived everything just to be killed by a plant. Now Mio is going to try and push out on the map himself. He's got his own +2 attack on the way. Missing the Overseer, you're going to just try and deny vision. Yeah, both players committing solely to army defense. I don't think Mio has enough here to really push up effectively because of that defender's advantage, obviously. Without speed, yeah, it becomes a bit too hard, and he's just going to back off for the moment. Small linger by, going to get a couple of drones. Nicely done by Demi, kind of just forcing his opponent to kind of react from home. But this Baneling, was this spotted? It was not. 7 workers going down. Very nice moves once again by Demi. So it does look like Mio is going to react with little run-bys of his own. That changing, just doing what he's there for, given vision. This will get caught, however, as nothing is really hidden from either player. So once again, we see both players kind of just backing off for the moment, rebuilding their economies, rebuilding their units. And just kind of going from there. Lurker Den. Nice. So one thing about the Lurker Den that is very good for Mio Micah is that it will allow him to zone out his opponent's units just enough for those Ravager Biles to be even more effective. But overall, I think he's making the right moves here in order to get to the next stage of this game. He's transitioning. Demi is maxed out, so we should see him move out here soon. Also going to get Tunneling Claws. I've seen this a lot out of him. He really likes those little run-bys with the burrowed roaches. They're so annoying to deal with, and they force your opponent to really react in so many places at once that it becomes much more difficult when this next big fight happens. Walk into it. A lot of biles going down, a lot of units getting shaved off here at the end. I'm gonna lose a couple more Ravagers and a couple more Lings, or Lisks rather. He does now have a Concave and is forcing Mio to kind of fight into this small choke point, but he just doesn't really have too much here. It's completely even army supply, and Mio's just gonna force his way through with those Ravager Biles. A couple of hitting, but not really enough. And Demi's just gonna sack his 4th base. So this is really the part of ZVZ where it becomes a bit tricky to engage into your opponent. Obviously, Defender's Advantage is very helpful in determining what's going on. There's a lot of Ravaging here, so those Hydras are going to be able to do a lot of work to this force. Losing a lot of units there very early on in the fight. That ramp is just so vital to the defense, and that's why it makes it so hard to push in right now. Kyle's going to try and get him a better position, but unfortunately they are not going to really do too much. Even though they are hitting, they're not really having their intended effect of making Deme back off. He just feels so confident in his ability to take this fight. And yeah, Mio once again has to back off here. He's still okay. He did eventually research Goliath reconstitutions, so that's good on him. But here we go. If Flight of the Valkyries is one thing, Tunneling of the Roaches is another. Deme is going to be very annoying with this. There's already is a couple of spine crawlers in each base, however, you know, Mio kind of knew that this was a possibility. But there is no detection. And even then, Deme did get a scout off on those lurkers if he was paying attention, even catching a few more units out here on the map. So Deme really is making the right moves here, but oh, huge vials going down here, taking out a fair bit of units. All the lurkers come in. They're going to start zoning Deme out. Going to get chased back. Huge vials hitting on both sides. Neither player really being able to dodge those super efficiently in these later stages. But here we go. The Roaches have begun their assault. Now just burrowing and getting the heck out of dodge. Gonna force detection here in a couple of minutes. Spore crawlers going down at each base to kind of defend against this. But the thing is, you'll still need units at home if you don't have spine crawlers, which at the main and natural, there aren't any. So he will be forced to keep a couple of units at home to clean this up. And now that's cleaned up, he is ready to go, raring and ready. After losing 9 workers, however, so he's at a little bit of a deficit. One thing I gotta say though, Mia has been very good about that transition, making sure that he is staying ahead of his opponent in terms of tech. Getting that infestation pit. It's gonna help him out a little bit later because he will be able to get pretty much whatever he wants with Hive. Kind of the rounding out of his composition here. Gonna sack that 3rd base. As Deme moves in, gonna try and get this Spore Crawler, but he's wasting a lot of time with it. Did force Mio, however, to back up to home. Maybe getting the 4th base of his own. But it is yet to be seen. Mio just kind of positioning himself at this location. But yep, that 4th does go down. Fifth base for Deme, he's been supply blocked at that everlasting supply block quite a bit. Mio heading up to Hive. So much detection here. He really does not want to be caught off by these lurkers. Both sides trying to get a good position here, but the lurkers starting to go down very low on that one. but Demi might just have a little bit too much. It's 121 to 147, that defender's advantage once again, just proving to be so effective. So yeah, we're at that stage of the game where each side can afford to just pump units over and over again and just kind of bash each other's heads in this engagement. That's very violent, but this is a violent game. Demi gonna move in here, try and clean up the units of Mio. He wants to do this, and it is such an effective engagement that Mio will have to back off and wait for reinforcements. Even just burrowing the roaches is going to give him a lot of health, as you can see. You heal quite quickly when you're underground. So both players just choosing to max out on roaches once again. Mio did get that hive tech in the middle of this, so he can transition to a little bit of a later stage whenever he wants. Demi, though, does not want to give him the opportunity. He's going to push in here. Both sides are completely even on upgrades, so that won't play a factor into this. But Mio trying to move down that ramp, not a good idea. He really wants to wait for his opponent at the top. But small roach run by is going to make sure that the has to divide his attention or just risk losing everything, and he is going to, it looks like, sack this base because he's way too afraid of losing this top location. Let me just kind of set up in a concave at the bottom. Just missing that overlord. Neither side really wants to engage into each other just yet, but Demi is going to be the one to force the issue here with these small run-bys once again. Engagement, it looks like Mio is taking a small advantage in it. Army supply still relatively even, but it does look like both players are just going to try and back off for the minute. As Demi's going to start sniping that tech for right now. And yeah, this is just an action-packed game. Non-stop aggression, non-stop attacks. It's been very back and forth. Now he's going to start focusing down that hive. If Mio loses that, I kind of worry about his chances in the game, but he does bring his units back to defend it, so I don't think it'll be going down anytime soon. Cluster attack has been begun as well, as he will need to cancel the space at the top. Not a cancel, it's a kill. But huge biles once again going down. Mio is just going to try and force his way in here. Might be a bit of an overcommitment here with the reinforcements of Demi coming in, but his own reinforcements will help even out the numbers once again. Just so back and forth. Demi's once again going to decide not to move up that ramp. This is just so back and forth. I don't know who is actually going to win it. Yeah. Fun fact, you'll know that they're changelings if you have gone 20 minutes without building a Zergian. Once again, these engagements, gonna try and get some good biles. Really focusing on that to get the more cost-effective trade, because without a cost-effective trade, you will not be pushing anywhere. Especially, again, with Defender's Advantage on this map, especially. Keeping tabs on this army is Demi Love. Forcing biles on his own army. I think he killed one of his own units there. Yeah, now we get to this point in the game where Mio has not really been attacked, but his bank is just dead from reinforcing himself. So Demi might actually be able to push the issue here relatively soon, as there will be no reinforce left. Gonna split off his army, a bit cost effective here. And yeah, this just becomes so devastating for Mio Micah. 17 workers going down on that one base means that this is pretty much going to be one of the last armies that he has for a $2,000 deficit here. And Demi just has bank for days. That fourth going down in the backfield, Demi, all he has to do is shave off units here and there. And he's just gonna push it. Here we go. Doesn't matter if he doesn't take a super cost-effective trade here, the reinforcements will clean up what's left. And I think that's really gonna start being game here in a minute, as he just tunnels right on top of the units. Makes it so that he can't bile. And this is Mio's last stand, and he is doing it brilliantly. Gonna focus into that lurker den, but GG is called. An exceptional back and forth game there by both players. Demi making it 2-0 for his team, bringing us to match point for the first time tonight. Let me just update the score for you guys so that we have everything. Well, I'm just going to start moving those because I can't remember my hotkeys for the night. But yep, the next game is going to be a PVZ, so we're about halfway gone from the ZVZs. So yeah, this should be very interesting. Goblin is a very, very good player. I've seen him in a couple of cups here and there, and he has some very good innovative strategies for the matchup. Excuse me, one moment. But we're gonna get onto Abyssal Reef, which is quite the nice map. If they decide to just take it all, won't even have to use their ace in the hole Aigas, the king of Terran in the region himself. Hunter, a little worried about his chances, but let me tell you something. Hunter, you're awesome. If you're watching this VOD later, or if you're just watching right now, you're awesome, man. You got this. Get your team out there and ready to roll. While waiting for that, I am going to give you guys a little bit of a tutorial here. If you have not already, we got a code right here. Right now it is S2M5. I'm going to show you what you need to do to get that while we're waiting for these guys. So basically, you're going to want to go to matcherino.com. Angel has been posting the link in chat for this one tournament. If you sign in, you can sign in with your Twitch, your Google Plus, or your Twitter account. And you can either A, contribute your own funds, sorry, I'm dying here. But with the code you see on screen, I actually can't see it. There it is. You take that coupon code, you type it in, and the coupon code is worth $1. Please note that it does change every 10 to 15 minutes, but once you hit donate and add your little message, you hit donate, it says I have already used it, and it has been added to the prize pool. As you can see, it went up to 111. And if you're the kind of guy who wants validation, you can see your name pop up right here. And if you're a streamer too, it's a nice little advertisement. Says, hey, I got the money to throw for the esports. I'm getting that dirty esport dollar. But if you guys do that, you will be supporting an amazing tournament. These guys have worked very hard on their coordination, organization, and the teams are doing their very best to ensure that they put out the best games in the world for you. Yeah, overall, thank you guys for coming out so far. We're finally going to hop into Abyssal Reef. Hunter is done psyching himself up. He is ready to go, showing us what the region has to offer. See if I can survive one more game. I've had the flu recently, and it seems to still be with me. But without further ado, he's the first non-Zerg we've seen tonight, and he's gonna show it. It is Goblin. And his opponent, he's searching for prey. He's searching for that point. It is Hunter. So one of the most iconic maps. Oh. Hey, at least I got it before too much happened. Goblin, Hunter. So far, we're going to be seeing pretty normal setups here for both players. Just going to get that gateway before Nexus, perhaps. Going to get a scout out. Kind of just check out what's going on as Hunter. He's just going to go for that economic opening as well. And it does look like everything is going to be nice and slow to start things off here. The build-up is going to be intense. All Goblin needs to do is take out this last Zerg of the night, and he will be a hero to his team. Also, Angel, when you said S2 and 5, the contribution code has actually changed. So if you guys notice, it is right over here. It does change every 10 to 15 minutes, so make sure you guys are using the correct code so that you can get everything you need and more out of that website. As I start to die once, and I'm sorry guys, hang on. Sorry about that, guys. Small tickle in the throat. But Hunter is going to chase that probe away after it stole a few too many minerals from his mineral line. And we are going to start seeing a small swell of lings here, so it does look like we're going to see some sort of nice little strategy out of Hunter. Getting that Evo chamber to make sure that he can do a little bit of a drop with this Overlord as the Stargate comes out before Goblin. Everything once again just shaping up as we have the Dropper Lord starting to morph. Looking to do a lot of damage here with this as speed finishes up in 3 seconds. But it has already been spotted. Tried to go in without having any units in them. The Adept is going to try and get into the main base, it looks like, but it's going to open the floodgate. Double-sided, and this wall is going to fall. It looks like one pylon going down, both pylons going down. That is unpowering everything. Goblin is in a bit of trouble here as probes start to fall. Really good move out of Hunter. Getting 11 probes so far, and he is nowhere near done. Doesn't even want to focus the warp gate research. If he got that, then this game would be over, but it already almost is. Losing 14 workers this early in the game without any reinforcements on your way. This might just be the closing call of Goblin. Probe stack going to try to prevent that for as long as possible, but as they continuously die, 14 more things coming across. This Oracle doing what it can, but it's out of energy. So unfortunately, I think this may be it for our Protoss player here. He's going to hold out valiantly for the time being, but with this Nexus going down, with no energy on the Mothership core, Hunter knows that the flesh is ripe for the picking. Not much else to say, guys. A Goblin was not able to defend this. He didn't have the amount of units out. One more photon overcharge is going to go down. Hunter going to give a little bit of respect to it, but at this point, the entire gateway line is going to get taken out. Oh my gosh, that cybernetics core 2.5 seconds away from finishing. That has to hurt when you see that on a replay. Yeah, trying to wall this off once again, but unfortunately, it does look like everything will go down. GG is called. Hunter will take the first point of his team. So we will be going to that game number 4 with the TVZ coming up. But an excellent game out of Hunter. That's a very nice cheese, very difficult to defend. And yeah, props to him. You know, he was feeling very, very unconfident about this game. You know, he was feeling like he wasn't really up to snuff for it, and he really came into it with the wrong mindset. But he was able to close it out. And we're gonna hop in. Let's see now. Yep. Next up is going to be Aegas versus Naivin. Naivin, I must admit, is a name I have not seen before. In the chat, he's going by Reaver. But Aegas, I mean, if you haven't heard of this guy by now in the region, he's been a staple of Terran players in Australia for quite a long time. And it does look like both players are gonna ready up here. Mech Depot might be the last map, might not be. Also, I gave the win to Goblin, but it should go to Hunter. He has earned it. But we're gonna hop right in the game. Enough chit chat, enough dilly dally. Mainly because I'm not good with the dilly dally. And as I get us into this game, a nice quick transition. There we go. Without further ado, spawning as the Zerg player. Bet you didn't see that coming. It's Aegas. And his opponent, he goes by Reaver here, but we all know and love him as a different name. It is Nivin. So nice and quick starts to this game. Neither side really doing too much other than those economic openings. Getting that racks for safety here and to start off his wall. Making sure that he does not die to any early Ling aggression by Aigas. As he starts out his spawning pool in a second. There we go. So I must admit, I don't know too much about Aigas as a Zerg player, you know. Most of what I know about him has been from his exceptional Terran play. We'll have to see if he can transition into that Zerg role, that bug form, which I must admit that he has done, must have been doing for a good majority of this season. But yeah. I'm very interested to see what the Terran mindset does bring to the Zerg race. Maybe just a set of mechanical bugs. As Nai is going to send out a scouting man, going to try and get that Overlord, the Night Vision, and if he does get it, he will supply block Aigas, force 100 minerals that you don't want to spend, and larva that you can't really afford to at the same time. But now Nai is going to grab even the other Overlord. It looks like he's just kind of scouting around for it, wants to get it. Getting this guy will be very nice pick off this early in the game, as it will supply block him for a couple of seconds and force an extra. Factor going down, so it does look like it will not be Hellions unless he wants a really delayed Hellion build. This one Marine gonna get taken out. The freshly dropped Mule is forfeit here for a minute as he consolidates his forces. But nice little pickoffs here. Those Lings are going to go down without getting too much done. Good deny mining for a couple of minutes, forced a bad rally point for some of those guys, so it's not a complete waste. Ooh, though, this is what I like to see. Double starport. So one of the big things this can be is double starport Banshee, which has been making the rounds in WCS and GSL. We've seen Innovation, TY, and a couple of others do it on certain maps in order to get a fast and quick win. It hasn't really worked out for them super well, but it does transition very nicely into mech play. It does require good control, however, so let's see if Nai can really bring that to the table. Gonna send out his Hellions as well, gonna get a few little scouts off. And that's one of the big things about this build. You use Hellions to kind of complement the Banshees. And here we go. So far, none going down, but a nice lineup gets 3. Might get one more, does not. And so Aigas does defend the first set of Hellions very nicely. Does not lose too much. But he really does need to get a scout off on this. He sees one starport, he did not see the other just yet. And I feel that's like very important information, because if you do not see that second starport, then you do not know this is coming. Primarily because this is just not a normal build. You don't really see this too often. It's one of the very special ones that you bring out. It won't be revealed until he flies directly into this watchtower. Now he knows what's up. But does he have the defense just yet? He just made a huge swell of drones, so he won't have that many larvae to work with. Spore crawlers in each base is nice, but is there enough queens? At this base, yes. At this base, maybe not. 2 banshees will kill a queen unassisted. Actually, being super careful just yet. Just now getting in that cloak, almost going down. Has to be very careful not to engage within vision range just yet. No lair, however, so that makes it a little bit easier for this. But here we go. Reaver, aka Nivin, is going to move in with this big Hellbat timing. A lot of Hellions, a lot of Banshees coming across the map. Not too many drones going down just yet, and there are enough failings to start cleaning this up, but they are all gone. At least focus on that one queen, he does. So, to be honest, did not get too much there in that engagement. Only getting 2 queens, which I guess has more than enough of. A bunch of lings. So not the best trade he could have gotten here. As this next Banshee goes down as well, gets 1 more queen for his effort. But cedes map vision and control to Nai Bin. We now see that transition coming into effect. Mech play will begin here momentarily as that 3rd base is beginning to be saturated. Really needs to turn that into something here. Probably a planetary with the location that it's in. Hellbat gonna go down, however, and a lot of SCVs going to fall to this very nice run by. So Igas is trying to keep himself in this game, making sure that he does not fall too far behind. That play can be very annoying to deal with, and especially if you start to fall behind in terms of your income. 13 workers going down. He will get out of there with absolutely nothing. So for now, this 3rd base is going to be a very big point of contention. Primarily for the reason that without 3 base gas, you will not be able to pump out those mech units that you need so much. The Liberators are a nice touch here, as he can send those across the map here in a couple of minutes. Kind of just be annoying, be aggressive with them, and kind of buy himself a little bit more time. Deny the queens the ability to inject because they'll be too busy defending. Still not getting on that vector right there, just now realizing it. Yeah, this ragtag bunch of units right here is all that Nai really has to defend. As Igas realizes that he has a nice little time period to kind of tech up. He's got the infestation pit ready and raring to go, so he can really go up the hive whenever he wants. Could go for swarm hosts, which he is actually going to, as the Liberator comes to a couple locations. Yeah, we will be seeing a pretty standard mech build here. Anti-mech build, rather. Swarm host, Hydralisk, Bane, Ling. Other thing, more things. Just get all the things. But it does look like swarm hosts are out, so he's going to start harassing with those as he transitions into his next phase. Actually just going to go for a big attack here, it looks like. Losing 1 swarm host almost immediately. Gotta be very careful here about where he engages. Those swarm hosts going down almost instantly. Interesting decision there. He tried to tear it off, probably trying to get a few good shots off on those siege tanks. Nice little position here for these Hellions, but they will get taken out for not much effort. Thor really helping out here as these guys start to clump up. And that's really why you get Thors against this kind of competition. is so that you can pick off those swarm host locusts as they descend, because they do clump up quite heavily. But now, moving into two different locations is Aigas. He really wants to take care of his opponent on multiple fronts, expose the fact that Mech is very immobile. Just gonna morph a huge amount of banelings. Looks like he's gonna just sack right into it. The Hellions do get on top of this. So Aigas gonna move in here with everything he has. Wastes a lot of banelings. Will it repair? It will not. So these SCVs are now forfeit. Swarm host just kind of chilling out. Gotta get those locusts back up. But he did force, once again, Nye out of position. 29, 30 workers going down. You can't afford to lose those at this stage of the game. So it is not looking good for our friend Niven. Gotta say though, he is very aggressive with his expansions here. Gotta give him credit for that. But he feels the pressure, he knows what's up, so he's gonna take his little ragtag ball of units and try and push across the map. Problem is, I think some of these swarm hosts are actually gonna come off. Never mind. Ignore that. But he is gonna push across the map after losing 8 more workers. Not much at home to defend, but this reinforcement of banelings will be enough to just push into this ball of units. Swarm host gonna come in the back, and he will clean up what is left of the army. It is currently 28 to 110. As these guys come in once again, the flight of the Valkyries is in full effect. Granted, they get taken out almost immediately, but it still looks cool when you zoom in. So now it looks like Aigas does want to transition into that Spire tech, so he will be going for that late stage Broodlords. But really, if he knew how far ahead he was, he would just get a ton of units and push the issue. But now, a couple more Ling run bys. Really wants to get this, I feel. Making it into an orbital is a bit of a risky maneuver, especially with so many units out on the map. So, what does Nye need to do to get back into this game? That is the big question. Really, it is a long game if he wants to try that. Because basically, he's going to have to rebuild his entire economy, get a very defensive setup, and then try and move out when Aigas already is ready for that next stage of the game. Clutch Mule, not paying attention. Yeah, if he can play the long game, he could possibly get back into this, but it's just not looking good for him at this point. Aigas, I believe he has taken it for his team. It's pretty much just dotting the I's and crossing his T's at this point. I forgot the saying. And here we go. The next Swarm Host wave is coming in. There is absolutely nothing to defeat it. And there's just so much damage output here. Try and focus down. Is the repair good? It is not. They weren't repairing for the longest time here. As he moves into the natural, all the orbitals are going to start going down. A lot of siege tanks here, so you got to be careful not to lose all of his Hydralisks. But I mean, the bank is just humongous. So Chi-Chi is called. Aigas will take it, make it 3-1, and he will close out the night. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. With the 3-1 victory, Varun will head into the semifinals. Well, actually, they are in the semifinals. And they have won it, so they will be moving on to the grand finals, which will be played out at a to-be-determined date. I have not been given the date. But that is going to do it for us here at the SEA Open Team League. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love having you out here. We hope to see you for the next exciting match. All information can be found both in the stream and the chat, rather. Thank you to our sponsors, Dank Shrine and Mancherino, for giving us the codes. If you haven't noticed, it has changed once again. So go, go, go. Use that code. Get the esports credibility that we need. Make sure that everyone knows about that code. Tell your friends. Let them know where to find us. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, I have been Passer. You can find me at twitch.tv/passer2300. I am always live whenever I need to be. And yeah, thank you guys. See you next time.